She asked me in Spanish if the Channel 2 was hiring. I said, I don't know, but I'll find a number. What do you do? And she said, I clean houses, and I really need a job because all the N-words are taking all the jobs.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Did you just tell me that a Spanish woman who cleans houses said the N's were taking all the jobs? I'm gonna need to get her name and phone number.
Okay, but she significantly, she picked out and said, los negros siempre están robándoles, por eso yo puse atrás. The black folks, they stealing, that's why I put the stuff in the back. And I'm just saying, my intention is wanting to get her fired, but like I said,
It's gonna be mine. No, it's definitely gonna be mine. Hey, shout out to all of the subscribers and members here on the channel. I'm Reese Waters, and this is Racist of the Week, where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor. And of course, if you have any nominees, you can throw them in the comments. You can email me at admin@reesewaters.com. So you remember that video about China dragging MAGA for filth when they unleashed on all of the luxury brands? And I said, that don't bother me as long as they never mess with Kirkland, Marshalls, or Family Dollar. Today's nominee, Family Dollar. All right, run the clip.
let me give you a word of advice.
I'm gonna stop you right there. When an old head with one of those bucket hats wants to give you a word of advice, that ain't going nowhere good. That ain't going nowhere good. Let me give you a word of advice. In other words, let me tell you why you should be grateful for still living.
Man, you got to watch what you say when you say it. Because this is what I'm saying. Because you don't know who speaks Spanish. Yo soy cubano, ¿me entiendes? Pero yo soy cubano. Y cuando habla la gente negra, estoy hablando de mí también.
I was just saying.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you need to watch what you say.
I was just saying.
Okay, I'm just letting you know though. When you talk about people, especially black people, man, watch what you're saying.
Now, I don't speak Spanish. We'll get to what was said. We'll get into that. I am just shocked at the response of the woman upon being caught talking about a brother behind his back because she didn't think that he spoke Spanish. How are you? I was just saying, if you were just saying, you would have said it in English. Yeah, this is a no talk back situation. This is a parental no talk back scenario right here.
I ain't recording you. I'm recording myself. I'm recording you now. I'm recording you now. So, you know what? That's what I'm saying. They be talking that shit Spanish, thinking people don't understand their ass. Yo soy cubano. Cuando hablan de mierda de negros, te hablan de mí también. So when you talk about black folks in Spanish, a bunch of them understand what the fuck you're saying. No, y'all talking that shit Spanish. Yo soy cubano, yo entiendo. Cuando hablas esa mierda de negros, te hablan de mí también.
Now, I have absolutely no idea what was being said towards the end of that video. I hope it was nothing that will get me demonetized. But I'm sure he can explain it.
Deon Chico Young was at the Family Dollar on Laura, Coffee, and Jensen Drive when he heard the customer in front of him had a conversation with the woman at the register about some white tenis, which are shoes in Spanish.
When I opened up the box, I put the box behind the counter because she said in Spanish, porque los negros estaban robando. The black people, and I'm gonna say it without being derogatory, but she's saying the black people would be stealing the tennis. But she said it in Spanish in a derogatory way.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me she wasn't just talking about black people in general, she was making a reference to the fact that you were there around the tennies? This was specifically targeted? Yeah, she lucky that counter was there.
Well, the moment became uncomfortable for Chico because his mother's from Houston and Creole, his father's from Cuba, so he speaks English, Spanish, and French fluently and understood the entire conversation.
Because you see me as a black man and you speak another language don't mean I don't understand what you're saying. And that's my whole thing. Man, watch what you say because you never know who understand you and you'll never know who you offend. It's me, Chico, Deon, life on Volcanic here in Houston, Texas, and the surrounding areas. About the incident that happened the other day in Family Dollar. I will say that Family Dollar's head corporate people reached out to me this morning about the situation, and they told me that they would take care of the problem, you know what I'm saying, rid the problem. And I was trying to tell them that I wasn't trying to get the little girl fired. That was not my intention to get her fired, and it's still not my intention to get her fired.
Might be mine, though. That might be my intentions to get her fired. I can't imagine hearing a derogatory thing about black people supposedly said to where I can't hear it while I'm in the store would be a non-fireable offense. I tend to think of that as a fireable offense, and probably even more so when you know how many black people patronize that particular store. That's not going to look good on the resume, I can tell you that.
My intention was to try to wake her up by having certain conversations, especially at work, about us folks. You know, like the woman told me, she said, you know, black people ain't the only ones steal, white people steal, Mexicans steal. I said, yeah, man, because the stores on the counter, just in Laura Cop in Houston, is full of dope fiends, black, white, and Mexicans. So don't say black people are the only one be doing the stealing. And what happened was...
And that is another excellent point, because not only did she profile you as somebody who couldn't understand what she was saying, not only did she have the audacity to say it while you were there about you, she also somehow turned a blind eye to shoplifters of all other colors and creeds. She gonna have to come up off that job. You know what I mean? I can't even see the argument for it, if not for that to just be something that you say on social media.
I was in line, a Mexican lady was in front of me with a little girl buying some tennis shoes, like $4 or $5 tennis shoes. And she had some black ones. She asked the girl in Spanish, what about the white ones? She told her in Spanish, she said the white ones are for boys. She said I opened them up and I had to put it behind the counter because they be stealing them. The black folks be stealing them, put it like that.
Oh, so it wasn't the blacks be stealing them. It was ends. And we still not trying to get her fired? We really be turning the other cheek. How many cheeks we supposed to have? And by the way, I would also like to assert that if the group of people that you feel like are stealing from the store are people you would characterize as ends and people that you would call ends while in the store on company time, I would say stealing is probably the least of your worries as far as your interaction with that particular group.
She said los negros roban. She didn't say la gente roban. If she would have said la gente roban, that means the people stealing. Okay, but she said los negros siempre están robándoles. You know, the niggas, the black people, you stealing them, you know what I'm saying? And so the Mexican lady in front of me, she knew I speak Spanish because she heard me talking to somebody on the telephone and had the phone on speaker. So she turns around and looked at me in my face.
So we got a whole witness. Now, I think the MVP of this story, obviously this gentleman who was bringing it to us, but for my money, the woman who knew that he spoke Spanish, who heard what she said while he could hear it, had a number of different ways she could respond. She could just nod her head, she could ignore it, or she could do the instigating thing and turn and look at him in the face. That's the most, wow, she is instigator of the year right there. Like she heard it.
And then she turns around and she engaged in the conversation with her. Yeah, los negros siempre están robando la cosa. Oye, hay una tienda allá en que estos negros siempre roban la gente. You know, she like, yeah, they be able to steal from the store. And I was like,
wait a minute. So after she heard it and she turned after she got her phone on to turn and record you, after she heard it and turned and looked at you in the face, then she egged her on? I think I need to hear from her. I think I need to hear from her.
I'm sitting up and I'm biting my tongue, holding myself back to keep from going off. So when the customer burnt off with her racist self, as the video, you see in the video, I tell the little sister, I said, look, let me give you a word of advice. And you got to watch what you say and how you say it when you say it. And I guess she's snapping, you know, like, did he understand me? So when I told her, yo soy cubano, that means I'm Cuban, you know what I'm saying? Yo soy Latino, Afro-Latino, un criollo, you know what I'm saying? Afro-Latino Creole, you know what I'm saying? Now she's snapping, oh, this dude understood what I'm saying. Instead of taking in what I was trying to tell her, she was trying to debate the issue to let me know why she said what she said. And like the people at her own, like the corporate manager said, she shouldn't even have that conversation. Los negros siempre están robando. The black people, you know, if she just said like gente roba, you know, people be stealing, okay, but she significantly, she picked out and said, los negros siempre están robándoles, por eso yo puse atrás. And the black folks, they stealing, that's why I put the stuff in the back. And I'm just saying, my intention is wanting to get her fired, but like I said, you know.
It's gonna be mine. No. It's definitely gonna be mine, because you mean to tell me that after you found out, after you identified what she said, her response was to explain why she said the ends be stealing? That was her response? No, we're gonna deal with the community later. We're gonna deal with the community later, because we have crossed this ground before when it comes to Latinos and blacks. We will circle back around to that. Another thing I find fascinating about this whole thing, if you were in this situation, this is like one of my childhood ideas about being able to being invisible. You basically are able to be invisible when you speak Spanish and they don't know that you speak Spanish. Because he said that he held his tongue, which I'm like, I don't know if I've been able to hold my tongue. But then if you don't hold your tongue, you don't get to hear the entire thing. Like we only have all of this context, right? She only was able to sink herself to this degree because he held his tongue. And that is crazy to think of how much you would need to hear before you said something, but knowing that you're continually collecting more and more information and she's digging her hole deeper and deeper. This is like one of those psychology questions right here.
It is what it is, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna say this to people, man, watch what you say, because you never know who understand you. Because we black, y'all must know your history. We was the navigators on the Spanish ships when they discovered the Americas, man. You know, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Panama, it's a bunch of us everywhere. Criollos, Afro-Latinos, man. Louisiana, all over here, New York. I'm like, man, we black. And I won't give a damn. I'm going to say this in, especially to the Dominicans always talk about me no black. Man, you black. Dominican ain't a race, it's a nationality. And what they said, man, y'all stay blessed. Because that's what I'm going to do, stay blessed, get back with you.
Oh, yes, the old I know black. Yeah, we heard that before. Matter of fact, I remember hearing that in a conversation between blacks and Latinos. I think it was on the Isaiah Factor down there in Houston. Matter of fact, you are down there in Houston. Isaiah Factor, you on this?
So, Chico, first of all, when you heard what was being said right there in front of your face, because they assumed you didn't know what the hell was going on.
Well, the crazy part about it, the woman in front of me, she knew I spoke Spanish because she heard me on the phone and I had my phone on speaker. So I was talking to a client. Mm-hmm. So as I'm in the line, her little girl was picking up she was buying some black tennis shoes for her little girl. And she asked the woman, the cashier, buy some white tennis shoes. And she told her in Spanish, the white tennis shoes are for boys. Then she told her, when I opened up the box, I put the box behind the counter because the blacks would be stealing them. Now, the woman in front of me know I speak Spanish. She turns around and look at me in the face, and then she dives into the conversation also. And I'm sitting up there holding I'm biting my lip. Mm-hmm. To keep from going off.
Okay, I think on the retelling, we definitely need to holler at the other customer. Yeah, we definitely need, because it's the other woman said what she said without knowing that he spoke Spanish. You went and got into the conversation knowing that he spoke Spanish. Y'all gotta help me out. Y'all let me know in the comments which of those is worse. And the only excuse you could possibly have is she was going deep undercover so that the cashier could out herself completely. Short of that response, and even I would question that, although I would support your commitment to messy if that is in fact the case. I don't know that we can expect that level of commitment from non-melanated folks. But short of that, we got a real competition on our hands. Who is in fact the racist of the week up in here?
So I bite my lip, you know what I'm saying, and she burned off. So the little girl behind the counter, I'm trying to talk to her right. I said, let me tell you something. You got to watch what you say, because you never know who will understand what. So now she's probably snapping. Did he understand me? So I tell her in Spanish, yo soy cubano. Yo soy cubano. So now she's snapping. Oh, he understand me. Now she's trying to justify why she said what she said.
Mm-hmm. Now another thing I want to pick up on is he says I was trying to talk to her right. And you know what? He was pretty measured in his response. I don't know what my response would have been if I were caught in this situation, because it's one thing when there are slurs that are just said to your face. That is infuriating on its own, but we also understand that to some degree is to bait you, right? Or at least it can be to bait you when it's said right in front of your face. When it's said behind your back and you overhear it, you know what somebody is trying to say, but they don't want you. That's a whole nother level. That's a whole, you know what I mean? That is a whole nother, you know what I mean? That's not just your coworker taking your lunch. That is your favorite coworker that's your work boo, taking your lunch and helping you look for it. That is a whole nother level of cold-blooded and angry right there. But not only did he not wild out in the store, when he videotaped to chronicle what was happening, which by the way was smart, because who knows how this would have been reported had he not videotaped it, right? When he videotaped it, he just videotaped himself. He videotaped himself very calmly trying to make the point to her. And by the way, had she accepted said point and fallen back, which was the way this would have been handled all up until Donald Trump entered our consciousness. Now we got a whole nother ethos. Had this been handled that way, this might have never gone viral.
So I'm gonna say this now, you know, it took everything for me just to hold myself back from acting a fool. Because my intention wasn't to act a fool. My intention was just to pull her coat. Don't do that, because you never know who you offend. See, you see me as a black man, but you don't know my roots.
Right.
You see me as a black man, but you don't know my story.
Exactly.
You don't know our story. See what I'm saying? So that's what I was trying to wake her up to, man, because we coming out different kind of colors, all different shades. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's why I say Afro-Latino, because when I say Afro, I identify with Africa as a black Latino, one who speaks Spanish, also French. So I identify, that's why I say Afro-Latino. Mm-hmm. I identify, I am a black Spanish speaker as well as a French speaker. And so I was just trying to pull her card and let her know, don't do that.
Now, salute to Chico for knowing his roots and staying in touch with his roots and being proud of his identity and how he identifies. One particular thing he said, where he talked about how we come in all sorts of different colors and we come in all sorts of different shades. He didn't specify whether he was talking about Afros or Latinos, but in this particular case, she apparently was unaware that that applies to Latinos. So the me no black, unfortunately has infected the youth to actually believe that. Some of you have disavowed your blackness to the point where you have Latinos walking around here who feel free being anti-black in front of all brown people, thinking they couldn't possibly speak Spanish. Imagine that.
And does this surprise either of you, that someone would behave like this when they don't realize who you are as a person and your heritage and the languages that you may know?
It does not surprise me because I've often been in situations when people did not know I spoke Spanish and they made comments about me. But luckily, they were always positive, and so I would interject or comment, and they would be shocked. You know, hablas español? I'm like, yes. But recently, I worked a phone bank for the League of Women Voters during the primaries, and I worked the Spanish line. My sorority, Alpha Kappa Omega chapter, AKA.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop down right there, because my mother's AKA. She just would have been mad if I didn't stop and say that she was an AKA. I know, because I had them lime green sheets. I had them lime green and pink sheets in all my childhood photos, and they kept trying to figure out whether or not she was doing some sort of delayed gender reveal. No, that's what she had at the house. I would also like to add, she said she was working a phone bank during the primary as somebody who was bilingual. So she was apparently speaking to Spanish folks during the election time. And I can only imagine what she heard, because we know the carnage that has ensued after.
Asked the bilingual sisters to come.
Gotta put that out there.
Yes, we serve mankind. And so I was working the phone bank, the Spanish blind. They were calling in, getting information about where to vote. And this little lady called, and once I gave her the information, she asked me in Spanish if the Channel 2 was hiring. I said, I don't know, but I'll find a number. What do you do? And she said, I clean houses, and I really need a job because all the N-words are taking all the jobs.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Did you just tell me that a Spanish woman who cleans houses said the N's were taking all the jobs? I'm gonna need to get her name and phone number. No, just put it. We're doing a thing with the registration. We got a registration thing that we do. It ain't no deal. It ain't no deal. So if I'm following, according to the MAGAs, the immigrants are taking all the jobs. When we stood in the gap to try and defend them, they wanted to dunk on us because they couldn't possibly be led by Kamala Harris.
We voted for who we think is in our best interest. That would be Donald Trump. Latinos don't identify with Kamala Harris. You know, she's out there pandering and this and that. We're not with that. We're way past that.
But they're on the ground saying the N's are taking all their jobs. And y'all wonder why we don't be outside this year. You know what I mean? And you wonder why they don't be outside this year. And most of us don't even know about this right here.
Wow.
And she said it all in Spanish. So I have a camera in front of me. It's live TV. And I knew I couldn't behave. So that was the one time I did the Michelle Obama. I went, hi, and I thanked her, and I even gave her the phone number. I didn't want to tell her where she could really go, and I didn't want to make her stroke out and have a heart attack. Because if I would have said what I wanted to say, it wouldn't have been nice.
And Hollywood, let's talk to you as well. I mean, this is nothing unusual. You've heard and you know for a fact there is a divide between Hispanic community and the black community.
Definitely. I've had to deal with this all my life.
Except when there's a struggle.
Definitely. Definitely. I've had to deal with this all my life. When I just begin speaking Spanish, people are just surprised that I speak Spanish. Both my parents are Colombian. I was born in Houston, so I am African American, but I'm Afro-Latina as well because of my nationality. So I identify as Afro-Latina. I speak Spanish. I believe that people need to be aware of, that there are many Afro-Latinas in the world, people that are Salvadorian, Cuban, Honduran. There are many people that are my skin color that speak Spanish and English. So I think it's just important for people to be aware that, there are people that speak Spanish that are my skin color. We're Afro-Latinos. We come from all over the world, Central, South America, and we are Afro-Latinos, and we're very proud. And I think it's just about being aware, most of all, being aware of the culture, being aware of the traditions, being aware of our people, most of all.
And Chico, I want to bring you back into the conversation. Is there a huge divide when you think about people of color, especially on one side, the Hispanic community, on the other side, the black community?
I'm gonna say this here. It could be. It could be. I mean, because I've been accepted in the situation. Make a long story short, I'm a mobile mechanic. I go to sell apartments at work, and the guys the maintenance guys there, they'll be trying to run me off. They'll tell me, hey, my friend, you can't work in here. But when I tell them, oye, ¿qué pasó? Yo no puedo trabajar acá. Oh, ¿tú hablas español? You talk Spanish? But when I start talking Spanish to them, now it's all right for me to work there.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's a quick question I would like to pose to you guys. So he was able to work there. It was okay for him to work there when they realized he spoke Spanish. So you might be tempted to believe that they were being exclusive to people who spoke Spanish. But then you would also have to presume that if there was a white mechanic, that they would have reacted to him in the same way. Do you think that's the case? Because I question that. So it's not necessarily that you spoke Spanish, it was specifically anti-black.
And I hate have to talk Spanish to be able to do something. You know what I'm saying? When I'm just talking English and, you know, they perceive me as being non-Spanish speaker, it's a problem. But when I start to speak in Spanish, then they be like, oh, you one of them. You know what I'm saying? You all right because you speak Spanish. I don't want to be all right like that.
Right.
I have to say, as the first African American member of the Hispanic Chamber Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board in Missouri County, and as a bilingual teacher and as the owner of a business where a third of my clients are Hispanic, that woman in that store was speaking for herself. She does not represent the Hispanic community. There is a lot of unity among us. There are problems. You have treasure and trash in every group, and I have to speak up because she doesn't represent everybody.
Now, while she might not represent everybody, she certainly was representative of more than herself when it comes to the anti-blackness in that community. But for right now, this is all about you. Family Dollar Cashier in Houston, congratulations, you are our Racist of the Week. And let me find out, I can't rock with Family Dollar no more. It's just me and you, Dollar Tree.
There's only 2 people working here now.
Okay, are you an employee?
Yes.
What is your phone number you're calling from?
My phone, 848-231-9474.
What is the female wearing in case she takes off?
She had a black sweatshirt on, like sweatsuit.
Okay, she with anyone else? Or she's by herself?
Oh, I think she's with another woman.
That's
Maybe
a
another
child.
woman.
That's a child.
Oh, it's a child.
You
Okay,
racist.
I can't tell.
That's a child. Exactly, because she's black. That's a child.
You know what?
That's
I'm
a
gonna
child.
prove
No, don't
something.
you walk
What?
too free because you're gonna
What?
get in trouble. She's a
I'm
child.
not getting in trouble. You don't do that. Maybe you do it over there in Zaire, but you don't do it here.
Oh,
there it is.
That's a racist.
There it is.
She's a black woman. You do it in Zaire.
Well, you're black.
Wow.
You're black. You're black.
Wow.
I'm white.
Are you guys related at all? You guys here together?
No, I came to buy some stuff, but when I saw what was going on, I said, let me hold up and stop. Because I don't want her to get arrested over some BS.
Yeah.
You know? And when she doesn't have a witness. And that's her daughter. He was disrespectful to her daughter as well.
Okay.
You know, and on the phone with the dispatcher, oh, they're black. There's 2 black women. Come on, dude. It's a woman with her child.
I got you.
It's ridiculous.
So you said glasses, what, like
They were in a
blind
box.
glasses or
No,
something?
they were.
We're gonna have to do another one, aren't we? We're gonna have to do a whole part 2. All right, fine. Fire them up. I got time today. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I'm excited to announce an addition to the family. No, not that kind of addition to the family. At least I don't think. Hey, baby! No, this will be in addition to our professional family. I'm excited to announce the new Patreon page. That is patreon.com/Reese Waters. For those of you that are looking for another option for membership, you're looking at some of the perks and bennies of membership over on YouTube, like early access to the videos, some of the videos that I post throughout the week that never hit the main timeline. You're looking for access to the members only lives or the back catalog. All that good stuff is now also available over on Patreon. There's also some Patreon exclusive things like the community chat function, which is kind of like our premiere that never ends. If you were looking to discuss the goings on of the day throughout the day, just like we always do in the live chats during the premieres, now you can do it. I'll be over in those chats. The mods will be over in those chats. So you'll be able to enjoy that as well. Patreon also allows me to release a newsletter weekly. Now there's a monthly newsletter that I've spoken about previously that will still be going out and everybody will be getting that. But there'll also be a curated weekly newsletter as well with some of the content that either has been left out or going a little bit further than some of the videos that we put on the timeline. You can sign up for that over at Patreon as part of their exclusive offerings. And if you would like to give Patreon a try, we're excited to offer a discount for the first few months of membership. And if you are a current member in deep water or troubled water and you would like to try Patreon, we can actually offer you a couple months for free. So look out for that code. That'll be hitting your inbox shortly. But as I always say, I am extremely grateful to all of you for making this moment possible. You sure it's no baby?